That's Aaron Rodgers, and here we go again. Although I made a vow to you guys, I'm not playing into it. So Aaron Rodgers spoke. You can read it for yourself. I'll just tell you what it is. The hell with it. If we're in it, I may come back. If we're not in it, I'm not coming back. I think we'll be in it, though.
Nope.
Okay, great. Guess what? You're not going to defy Mother Nature or the laws of physics or recovery. You're not playing. And I appreciate the fact that you're desperate to get back on the field. I get that. Every one of you guys that we've talked to on the show for 30 years have told me, the depression, the loneliness, the desire, the burning to get back on the field. So I respect it. But you got to stop. You got to stop. You took a big step last week in not throwing the ball. For all the TV cameras to see you, prior to the game against the Raiders. But now it's the same nonsense of, hey, Melissa Stark, I'm coming back mid-December. Hey, Pat, I may not come back. Hey, Woody, if the team's good and in contention, I'll save the day. Hey, we're really not going to be in contention. Blah, 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 blah. Aaron Rodgers will play for the New York Jets the second Sunday in September for the 2024 season. And not a week before that, those are facts. Now, the other reality is, are they going to beat the Bills and the Dolphins?
No.
And even keep hope alive?
No.
Of course they might.
No.
But I'm not stupid. I think they could beat the Bills. They're a dysfunctional mess.
Sure.
But the Miami Dolphins present a whole different ballgame. And I understand. If we're not in it, obviously I'm not going to come back. But if we can somehow stay alive, and look, the Bills lost, kept them alive for another week. A lot of teams bunched in there at 5 losses. The problem for the Jets, as you see their schedule, is they can't afford another quote-unquote bad loss, and they have to figure out a way to split the 2 games between the Bills and the Dolphins, or it is a wrap.
I got to be honest. I hope that they're in it.
Just to see if he comes back?
Because all of this talk of if we're in it, if we're still alive, I'll come back. It will be lost if they're not in it, and it will be what we all kind of expected anyway.
Sure.
Now he doesn't have a reason to come back. I want him to have a reason to come back. I want to see if this rehab.
I love it. Yeah.
I want to see if he can.
All right, so now let me stop you if I may. There's want, and then there's reality.
Yeah,
I want him to come back. We all wanted them to be alive to see if he could come back and lead them to a Super Bowl, because that would be on the table for me.
Yep.
But what's the realistic expectation, Gregor?
Yeah, I don't think that is happening. It is. Look,
and
I get it. I get he's had the best medical doctors and all these things, and he's done his research and all of what he's saying, and he's all into his rehab.
Yeah.
Love that idea of it. The fact of the matter is, we've never seen it before. Doesn't mean that we will never see it, but with a 40-plus-year-old man, I just don't see how it will even happen.
At the end of the day, it's like less is more, right? Like, if you're going to come back, then be ready when it's time to come back. Stop talking about you. Right now, you're dealing with a team who had a players-only meeting. You being one of the eldest of the team. Were you at that meeting?
He was not.
Right. So that's the problem for me. Like, I don't care about the rehab no more. I'm personally over it. What I need for you is, you're talking about a team that doesn't have an identity. Your heir apparent is struggling beyond belief. You're last in almost every category offensively.
Right.
Your main man, Hackett, sucks. Bottom line, Lazard sucks. Cobb sucks. Your name is written all over this stank, and all you want to talk about is you. When flat out you have a players-only meeting who's looking, when you got Garrett Wilson, Conklin, guys who are actually doing something to be better for the Jets, and you're in California rehabbing. It's enough. It's a distraction. It's actually ugly. And by a guy who actually likes Aaron Rodgers, I'm starting not to like you in real time.
Yeah,
right?
Because you guys have lived it. You know,
right, because you're talking about the guys, and the young guys, and Greg, we were older guys at one point in the locker room. The young guys only know what they know, right? They don't have, a lot of guys don't have the experience to go through good and bad seasons. We're fortunate to have good times because we won a Super Bowl and played with enough pieces to say, hey, that's what good football players look like, and that's what bad football players look like. You were considered one of the Hall of Famers. There's guys who are screaming for leadership, a Garrett Wilson, a Tyler Conklin. You got guys in that offensive line. It's time for you to stop with the pressures and be like, hey, man, get in the trenches with these guys and help them figure it out, because you're one of the reasons why they're in this position.
Here's the other problem with the players-only meeting for this particular team. The defense is not going to participate in it because we know what they've done. They've lived up to the bill. They've been very, very good. I'm trying to figure out, as a diehard Jet fan, I can't think of a single player on offense that's got the gravitas or respect right now in that locker room to stand up and speak. Now, if you told me the offensive guys got together privately and they had one of those, dude, you got to step up. I got, and man to man to man to man. I guess I understand the value of that. but who stood up in front of the team representing the Jets offense and said something? And if it's Garrett Wilson, shame on the Jets, and I'll tell you why. He's a second-year player.
Yes.
And if there's nobody else in that locker room that cares as much as Garrett Wilson does on the offensive side, that's all you need to know about the current plight of the New York Jets. I'll tell you something else. Players-only meetings indicate we don't listen to our coach anymore. We got to handle this ourselves, and that's the first step in a coach ultimately being fired. You saw it in Buffalo.
Absolutely. Look, player-only meetings means that there's a problem that is on the field. Like, it has nothing to do with coaching. It has everything to do with what we are not doing from an execution standpoint. And you're 100% right. Typically, when you have these meetings, either the team is absolutely across the board trash, or there's one side of the ball that's holding up their end of the bargain and the other isn't. And what typically happens in those player-only meetings, everybody on the defense is sitting back like,
what are y'all going to do?
Yeah, talk, say something, because you don't want me to talk. You don't want me to say what we really feel. That's the real of a players only meeting, but that typically doesn't happen. You need guys on the side of the ball that aren't getting it done to stand up and not point the finger around to other guys on that same side of the ball, but to just own their role in what they are not producing.
And to me, and again, we're getting a little bit in the weeds from a team that's under 500 right now, but Alan Lazard needs to stand up and go, I got to take some responsibility. I've been a major disaster here. Dalvin Cook, maybe it's the way they use him. I'll give him a little grace on that. But you have guys that are not. C.J. Uzomah, like, what the F?
Well, you don't like C.J. Uzomah.
Well, I love C.J. Uzomah as a dude. He's been a major disaster as the tight end of the New York Jets. 2 more penalties, 1 negated a touchdown that they had to have against the Raiders a couple days ago. So I want to see guys stand up and tell you, let me walk you through what I did wrong, how I'm going to be better. They committed 8 penalties in a game they had to win against the Raiders, and that, my friends, is what we call unacceptable. One other note on Aaron Rodgers, if I may. Because everyone talks about how he goes, I went to the best doctor. Have you ever met anybody in your lifetime that didn't go to the best doctor?
No.
That is surgery. Right? Like, everyone's like, I got the best guy for that knee injury. I got the best dentist. I got the best hemorrhoid guy. I've never heard someone go, my doctor's all right. Yeah, he's all right.
Man, I had Tyrod Taylor Fierce hear you say that.
One guy. My doctor punctured my lung and almost ended my life. Outside of that, I've got great doctors. Yeah, I never heard anything other than that. All right, it is time now. Go under the table, Jacoby, and take out that button. Bring it up. Nice. It's all yours, kid.
It is time for the panic button. Big E segment does not need explanation. Craig, we start with you.
Yes.
They fired their offensive coordinator. Stephon Diggs' brother is saying that Stephon Diggs no longer wants to be on the team. Is it time to panic if you're the Buffalo Bills?
Not only is it time to panic, they already panicked.
I'm panicking
They
with you.
panicked with the players.
Yeah, we're all panicking.
They panicked when they fired Ken Dorsey, and now they're panicking because the relative of a player is now chirping on social media. Let me give it to you, MJ style. Air Craigie, panic. Of course, nobody saw that, but that's okay. The Buffalo Bills are in full-fledged panic mode, which for me as a Jet fan means it's a terrible week to play them.
Hold on. There's only one way to hit the panic button.
Yeah.
For the
What's
Bills.
that?
Pele style.
Back to what? I got
If you're good at that motion, you're good at it.
Good morning, America. Moving on to the next one. The Chargers. The Chargers. No.
Don't run.
The Chargers.
Now, don't run from it.
Do it again.
I'm panicking. I'm actually panicking now. That's for myself.
That's really the question. It's the regret I feel.
The Chargers have lost a lot of close games, and they have lost them. Is it time to hit the panic button if you are Brandon Staley Willie?
No, because this is who they are. This is what they've always been. Like, just they have a really good quarterback. The defense just sucks, right? But it's on his head because he's supposed to be a defensive-minded coach. Like, he's finally owned, like, at times they could be better. But I'm not panicking because they've been consistent. They've been consistently average at best.
I'll tell you what, though, when they trade that first-round draft pick to New England for Bill Belichick and Stanley, gets fired, he's going to regret not panicking right now because that blood's in the water. Apparently, this chum in the water. I don't believe all the rumors just yet, but it does make sense, which is also why they signed Bill Belichick to an extension. They're not going to fire him. If he leaves New England, they're going to trade him for some draft capital, and the Chargers with a stud quarterback would make a lot of sense if at 71 years old, Bill decides that he wants to live on the West Coast. So we'll see.
Brandon Staley is panicking.
There you go.
Come on, he's been panicking since day one, week one. Like, this
Yeah.
defense is got too many pieces that can actually get it done, and they're not getting it done. You're a defensive guru.
Yeah, but to be fair, also kind of like Jimbo Fisher at A&M, he retires on a mattress of money.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
He's good. He's good. Like, if you're 45 years old and you got 16 more million coming your way, fire me.
Yeah.
I like to fish.
I'll be on vacation.
Yeah. What else you got, Scopes? Any other motions you want to show us?
No, we're good. We have some difficulties in the fourth quarter for the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
They face the Bengals.
Yeah.
Is it time for the Ravens to panic, Craig?
No, they're the best team in football.
No.
It's them and the San Francisco 49ers. No. They're 7-3. If they beat the Bengals tomorrow night, they have essentially a 3-game lead over the Bengals, having beaten them twice in the division this year. I think they have a problem. I think they have to address that fourth quarter letdown on defense because it really is what plagued them last year, earlier in the season before Lamar got hurt. But here's a team that scores 30 points like that. Like, it ain't nothing to them to score 30. He might be the next to C.J. Stroud.
Sure.
You know, your runner-up for Offensive Rookie of the Year in the NFL, Zay Flowers, who's been a great pick that you were all over pre-draft. Good job on that, Greg. But why would a team at 7-3 panic? You got to button some stuff up, but they ain't panicking. I'll show you what panic looks like. It's this. This right here is panic. Hey there, thank you so much for watching The Carton Show. You can subscribe right here to get all the latest bits and segments from the show. And by the way, while you're at it, we have a lot of great shows on FS1, so check them out too.